Percy was always willing to help, especially when it came to showing the big engines he was just as useful as they were. So, when Sir Topham Hatt asked him to assist in repairing an old tunnel, Percy was excited to pitch in. The tunnel had been damaged during a recent storm, and parts of it were unstable. Percy's job was to pull out debris and help clear the line. At first, everything went smoothly, and Percy was enjoying himself. But as he chugged deeper into the tunnel, pulling loaded trucks of rubble, he began to notice how dark it was inside. "Keep going, Percy," his driver encouraged. "We're almost done." But just then, with a loud crash, part of the tunnel ceiling gave way, and rocks tumbled down, blocking the entrance. Before he knew it, Percy was trapped inside. As the last bits of daylight disappeared behind the rock wall, Percy's firebox flickered nervously. He was all alone in the darkness, and it was eerily quiet. Though Percy was usually cheerful and brave, the pitch-black tunnel filled him with fear. "Hello," Percy stammered, his voice echoing through the empty space. He tried to stay calm, but the shadows seemed to close in around him. Percy's wheels trembled, and he couldn't help but feel very small and scared. Outside, Sir Topham Hatt quickly learned about the collapse and Percy's predicament. He rushed to gather the other engines, explaining the situation. "We need to get Percy out, and fast," Sir Topham Hatt said. "He must be frightened in there all alone." Thomas, Gordon, James, and even Henry immediately volunteered to help. Each one of them was worried about Percy, especially knowing how dark it must be in the tunnel. "I know how he feels," Henry said quietly. "I once got bricked up in a tunnel, and it was awful." "Then we'd better hurry," Thomas said. "Percy's counting on us." The engines formed a plan. Thomas and James would start clearing the rubble from one end of the tunnel, while Henry and Gordon worked from the other. With their combined strength, they hoped to reach Percy quickly. As they worked, Thomas called out through the rocks, hoping Percy could hear him. "Hang on, Percy. We're coming." Inside the tunnel, Percy was still feeling anxious. But then, faintly, he heard Thomas's whistle echo through the darkness. It was like a ray of hope piercing through his fear. "Thomas," Percy called, his voice quivering. "Is that you?" "Yes, Percy. We're on our way to get you out. Just keep your firebox warm, and don't worry." Hearing Thomas's voice gave Percy courage. He focused on keeping his fire burning and took deep breaths, trying to calm himself as the other engines worked hard to clear the debris. After hours of digging, Thomas and James finally broke through the last layer of rock. Sunlight streamed into the tunnel, and there was Percy, his face lighting up with relief as he saw his friends. "Thomas. James. Oh, thank you," Percy exclaimed, his voice full of gratitude. Thomas and James gave him comforting smiles, and they slowly led Percy out of the tunnel and into the open air, where Sir Topham Hatt and the other engines were waiting. Percy took a deep breath of fresh air, grateful to be free from the dark. "Well done, Percy," Sir Topham Hatt praised. "You were very brave, even when things were difficult." Percy blushed. "Thank you, sir. I was scared, but knowing my friends were there helped me be brave." That evening, the engines gathered around Percy, listening to his story of the dark tunnel and offering their support. Even Gordon, who was usually proud, told Percy he'd done a good job. Thomas gave Percy an encouraging bump. "You're one of us, Percy. We'll always be there when you need us." Percy beamed with pride, knowing he had friends he could rely on. And though he still didn't like the dark, he felt braver than ever, knowing he was never truly alone.